Hey, how's it going? I'm Sean and this is Devlog 14 for Reaper of the Undead. This week I've mostly been polishing the game and getting it ready for the playtesting session, which is actually tonight at the time of recording. I had to make sure it would export to Xcode and run on my iPad, and make sure there weren't any performance issues. I did have a few things that I needed to fix, namely the texture compression. Since the UI needed to be scaled up to fit the large iPad screen, there were some really horrible looking artifacts. Just a simple settings change fixed this, but there was another issue that was a bit harder to track down, and that was the performance. It seemed like it was running really slow, and I just assumed it was because it was running at full resolution on a Retina screen. I added some code to detect the Retina screen and lower the resolution, but it still ran really slow. Long story short, it wasn't my game that was running slow, it was that it ran at 30 FPS because of the way it handles VSync. I discovered a setting to set the target frame rate, and now it runs at a solid 60 FPS. I wasted a bit of time working that out, but now I can just use that bit of code as a battery saver mode. I also spent some time this week updating my website. I won't go into detail about it, but I just made it look a little nicer. I've also started to create a page for the game with screenshots and a short description. I did this so it wouldn't get left to the last minute, and since I tend to iterate on stuff like this and make improvements over time. The last thing I want is a poorly written description on the most important day of a game's life. I'll keep this page up to date, and hopefully by the time I release the game it'll be refined enough to get people interested when they see it. Alright, so onto the game. One of the things I decided to add is a difficulty setting. I want to make the game as accessible as I can without sacrificing gameplay, so I've given the player the option to choose a difficulty. On easy it shoots for you, targeting the closest enemy, so less skilled players only have to focus on not getting hit. On normal you have to tap the enemies to shoot them, but it gives you target assist, which just automatically switches to nearby enemies when the first enemy dies. Then there's hard, which has no assists, so you have to manually switch targets. I don't know if I want to keep this hard mode, but we'll see. In terms of actual enemy difficulty, there's no change between difficulty settings. All it does is give you more or less assists. Something I wanted to mention about that is that while easy mode option sounds the best, given that there's no punishment for playing on easy, it's actually better to play on normal. It's a case of easy being good for new players, but bad for more experienced players. This is due to the fact that you can't choose which enemy to shoot. You might be surrounded and need to shoot a gap to get out, but you can't because it aims for you. This is where normal is the better option, because you can be strategic about who you shoot. Another example would be the use of the bloater enemies. If you kill a bloater, the enemies next to it will be killed by the explosion. This can be a good way of getting out of a sticky situation, but if you're playing on easy, you won't be able to target the bloater to do this. I really like this mechanic because it goes towards the idea of the game being easy to learn but difficult to master. One last thing I've worked on this week is the level art. Last week I discussed the possibility of updating the art, but instead I've decided to polish what I've got instead. I'll probably add some more props like crates and barrels later on, but for now I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Alright, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.